In the frozen wilderness of Russia's Ural Mountains, 9 young hikers vanished in 1959, and what searchers later discovered has baffled the world for over 60 years. The group was led by Igor Dyatlov, just 23 years old. With him were his friends Lyudmila, Zinaida, Rustem, Yuri, Alexander, Semyon, Nikolai, and another Yuri. One of the hikers, Yuri Yudin, had to turn back early due to knee and health problems. He became the only survivor. Later, he said he felt he had been saved by fate. The rest of the group pressed on into worsening weather. Heavy snowstorms slowed them down, and they strayed off their planned route. On February 1st, they set up their tent on the slope of Kolotsiakla, a strange choice, since the forest below would have given them shelter. Weeks later, rescuers found their tent still standing, but ripped open from the inside. Their boots, coats, and supplies were left behind. It looked as if something had terrified them so much, they fled half-dressed into the snow. The search team followed barefoot tracks into the forest. The first 2 bodies stripped to their underwear were found beneath a cedar tree, their hands torn and bloody as if they had clawed at the bark in desperation. Short distance away, 3 more were discovered, including Dyatlov himself, as though they were crawling back to the tent, but never made it. The last 4 took months to find. Buried in a ravine, their injuries were shocking. One had a shattered skull. Another's ribs were crushed by enormous pressure. Investigators had no answers. Avalanche? No clear signs. Military tests? Possible, but unproven. Some spoke of UFOs, others whispered of a Yeti. One theory even claimed strange winds created a low hum that drove them into panic. The official explanation? An unknown compelling force. In the summer of 1993, 7 hikers set out into the Khamar-Daban mountains of Siberia, just south of the legendary Lake Baikal. Their leader was Lyudmila Korovina, a respected instructor with decades of survival experience. With her were 6 young and eager adventurers: Tatiana, Victoria, Timur, Denis, Alexander, and Valentina. They were young, healthy, and ready for the challenge of the wild. For the first days, everything seemed normal. They climbed steep ridges, made camp in meadows, cooked over campfires, and even laughed about the unpredictable Siberian weather. Lyudmila was strict but protective, treating the group like her own children. Nothing suggested danger was around the corner. But on August 5th, something horrific happened. As the group paused on a grassy slope to rest, one of them suddenly collapsed. Then another began gasping for breath, clutching at their throat. Valentina, the youngest, recalled watching in horror as her friends turned pale. Within minutes, panic spread through the camp. Blood began seeping from their eyes, ears, and mouths. Some screamed, tearing off their clothes as though their bodies were burning from the inside. Others thrashed violently, convulsing on the ground. Valentina later described it seemed as complete chaos as her friends dying in front of her, one by one, with no clear reason. 5 of them perished almost instantly. Lyudmila, the leader, held on the longest, but even she collapsed. overcome by the same terrifying symptoms. Alone and traumatized, Valentina fled into the forest. She stumbled upon a group of rescuers and was carried to safety. When investigators reached the site, they were shocked. The bodies lay in twisted positions, faces covered in bruises, dried blood around their mouths. Yet autopsies gave no clear answer. Hypothermia, exhaustion, even poisoned food were considered, but none explained the violent bleeding and madness Valentina described. Some suggested a toxic plant or contaminated mountain water. Others whispered about secret military experiments in the area. And of course, many compared it to the Dyatlov Pass. But here, unlike Dyatlov, there was one survivor's testimony, and what Valentina saw that day remains one of the most chilling unsolved mysteries in hiking history. It was February 24th, 1978, a cold winter night in California. 5 young men, close friends obsessed with basketball. There were Gary Mathias, Jack Madruga, Bill Sterling, Ted Wire, and Jack Hewitt. Together, they were known as the Boys. That evening, they drove to Chico to watch their favorite team play. They laughed, ate snacks, and cheered like any group of friends. After the game, they got back into Madruga Turquoise Mercury Montego and headed home. But they never made it. Days later, their families reported them missing. The police searched highways, towns, and nearby forests. And then a discovery. Madruga's car was found abandoned on a lonely mountain road, deep in Plumas National Forest. The car wasn't wrecked. It wasn't out of gas. In fact, it started on the first try. But there was no sign of the 5 men. It looked as if they had simply walked away. Searchers stumbled upon a trailer used by forest rangers. Inside, they found Ted Wire's body. He had survived for weeks, slowly starving and freezing to death. Next to him were shelves filled with canned food untouched. His feet were badly frostbitten, and he had wrapped himself in bed sheets, as if waiting for help that never came. Further into the woods, they found Madruga and Sterling, their bodies frozen, huddled together in the snow. Jack Hewitt was discovered not far away. But one man, Gary Mathias, was never found. To this day, he is missing. Why did they abandon the car when it was perfectly fine? Why didn't Ted open the canned food? And where did Gary go? Some say they were chased. Others believe Gary's schizophrenia caused panic among them. And some think they were led into the woods by something darker. Something they could never escape.